tonight, with new blazes erupting in the past hour.
Multiple structures have burned, and in Lahaina, people escaped the flames and thick smoke by fleeing into the ocean.
Now, weary fire crews are scrambling to keep the flames from spreading, but the winds are not letting up.
Meantime, evacuations have pushed countless people from their homes. Communications are down, and emergency agencies are struggling to keep up.
From Hawaii News Now, this is breaking news.
It's breaking news across the state tonight, but on Maui, it appears a fire crisis is unfolding as we speak.
The county confirms several active fires on the island, including a big blaze in Lahaina. We have new video just in. Take a look at this. You can hear the explosions in the background there. An absolute rager. This comes to us from Alan Dakar. He was there as the flames ripped through that tight collection of businesses on Front Street. A county spokesperson confirms that an unknown number of people were forced to run into the ocean after being overwhelmed by flames and smoke. The Coast Guard deployed several boats and picked people up from the harbor and took them to safer places.
We're told that fire continues tonight. We just got off the phone with Mr. Dakar, who witnessed this horrific fire.
I had to evacuate because of that fire and just got to Kahului, so I have service. That's why it just got posted. So that was this afternoon around probably 4:30 in bright sunshine, full blue sky, but you couldn't tell from that video. That was taken from Front Street, right near the corner of Dickinson, which is, and looking down at the main business district in Lahaina, and buildings on both sides were engulfed. I think on the right, the building that you see where the second-story balcony is completely in flames, I think that's where Lahaina Pizza Company is. That might be Lahaina Loft, but I think it was Lahaina Pizza Company. And on the other side, the buildings towards the end of that row right before the ocean walk were completely engulfed. And I have another picture where you see the sign just suddenly burst into flames, and you realize there's like the fire just shoots out. And there were no fire trucks at that point. I think the fire department was already overwhelmed with other fires nearby. And it's amazing because that is the most important business street on Maui.
Heartbreaking videos you just saw as Mr. Dakar described the flames destroying a historic stretch of Lahaina. And people have been posting pictures and videos like this on social media, but information has been scarce because emergency agencies are in full response mode, scrambling from one scene to another. People have described the scene to us as chaotic and stressful. This appears to have stemmed from a brush fire this morning that was 100% contained in Lahaina before it flared up again this afternoon, blocking the highway and many other roads. The Lahaina Civic Center is open as a shelter, but any more specific details are hard to come by tonight because the authorities are telling us they are overwhelmed.
And there's yet another fire burning in northeast Kihei. This one began this evening. Residents estimate it's about 1.5 miles from the Kamalani subdivision and Old Hawaiian Homestead. And we have a report of another fire that popped up in about the past hour in Wailuku. We're still getting details on that. Again, the county is scrambling to keep up right now, and hard information is hard to come by. The governor's office issued an emergency proclamation earlier today, freeing up funding and activating the National Guard to help out.
Both the state and county's emergencies are fully activated, but the situation is nowhere near under control. We turn now to our Chelsea Davis live in Ma'alaya, which is as close as she could get to the Lahaina scene. Chelsea.
Yeah, Keahi, Steph, we've talked about information hard to come by, but just minutes ago, they actually did send out new information to us. I'm going to just read it because it literally just came in minutes ago. As I mentioned, Mayor Richard Bisson has issued an emergency proclamation in response to this fire. The American Red Cross has opened Maui High School as an evacuation center, and Wahikuli residents in West Maui, they are also evacuated right now. The Coast Guard has been responding to impacted areas areas where residents are entering the ocean due to smoke and fire conditions. Individuals were transported by the Coast Guard to safe areas. Now, they also tell us that a firefighter who was responding to the West Maui fire has experienced smoke inhalation and was taken to the Maui Memorial Medical Center, but he is in stable condition right now. Honopi'ilani Highway remains open, outbound traffic only, and motorists should expect heavy traffic. They said water buffaloes containing drinking water are located at the Kula Fire Station, Kula Community Center, Rice Park, and Crater Road. The county has requested for National Guard support. Multiple evacuation orders are in place. Structure damages have occurred, but again, no details on the extent of what those damages exactly are. Again, the American Red Cross staffing emergency shelters at Kihei Community Center, Lahaina Civic Center, and in Pukalani at the Hannibal Tavares Community Center. Pet owners are utilizing those shelters. They say they do need to have those pets properly restrained. Now, we mentioned that here I'm the closest that I can get to West Maui, and the safest place I can be. I'm in Ma'alaia, where police are not letting anyone through. They're not letting anyone to the west side of the island because it is not safe. Authorities are asking people to stay off of the roads completely, stay indoors. Now, occasionally we will see people fleeing the area, cars, a trail of cars leaving West Maui, residents, visitors, just anybody trying to get to safer ground. Again, the two fires active right now, West Maui as well as Olinda Road between Kula and Makawao, and this huge one in Lahaina. The one in Olinda broke out shortly after midnight. The other brush fire in West Maui was reported near Lahaina Luna Road at around 6:30 this morning. Now, we spoke with a mother who tells us her son is a boarder at Lahaina Luna High School. She says they're evacuated out of West Maui completely.
So we all went on top, like social media, started looking all around, got news reports saying that there was a power outage, and not knowing that there was a fire right below the school.
At first, they were saying that they was going to Lahaina Civic Center, but there was no way in, no way out, you know, due to the down power lines and everything. So we got confirmation that they were heading out to Maui High School, to the gymnasium parking lot.
And this is video from the Kahului Airport. You can see part of that roof has ripped off of the Avis Budget Rent-A-Car building because of the extremely strong winds Maui is experiencing. And the Coast Guard, we mentioned, has been deployed to help those people who were in the water trying to escape the flames and the smoke. Again, back out here live in Ma'alaia, authorities are asking people to stay off of the road, stay indoors, let emergency crews handle this emergency situation. They will let us know when the all clear is given, but as of right now, everyone is asked to stay inside. Reporting live in Ma'alaia, I'm Chelsea Davis for Hawaii News Now.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. And now to the multiple brush fires still burning along the Kohala coast on the Big Island.
A Konipuli highway still closed between mile markers 6 and 17 after a fire burned about 1,800 acres there. Fire crews are still battling flare-ups near the Mauna Kea and Hapuna beach areas. Evacuations are in effect for guests at the North Fairways at Mauna Kea and the villas at Mauna Kea. Those at the resort are sheltering in place. EMS is on site providing care. Meantime, the Federal Emergency Management Agency tonight just approved the state's request for a disaster declaration. This allows for the use of federal funds to cover firefighting costs.
On Oahu, gusty winds also fueled a brush fire in Waipio, brought down trees and triggered power outages.
Our Jolani Martinez continues our team coverage tonight.
Typically, the trade winds back down in the evening, but not tonight. The hurricane spinning to our south off Diamond Head will keep this stiff breeze going through tomorrow, and there's already plenty to clean up. About 50 acres burned near the artillery range at Central Oahu Regional Park in Waipio. High winds made it tough for firefighters to get the brush fire under control. They couldn't fly their helicopter.
It was hard stopping this fire just because of the high winds. Every time we knock a section down, the winds would come and it would flare up again. So we've went back to the same area multiple times.
Over in Kalihi, residents were worried about a house fire spreading through their neighborhood.
There was just like whiffs of like huge black smoke and the flames all up in the sky. Like it was crazy.
The winds were very strong and the fire kicked up really quickly and we saw flames. It was really scary. We had chicken skin and we were just hoping that everybody was okay.
In Manoa Valley, high winds took down a utility pole, leaving hundreds without power for hours. This tree came crashing down on Makiki Heights Drive in Honolulu, barely missing drivers.
We were this close to being, having the roof of the car caved in from the tree. I mean, it was a shocking moment.
In East Oahu, the big surf knocked down a 39-year-old woman and 12-year-old boy at Makapu'u tide pools at around 10:40 this morning. EMS says both are okay. They just got some bruising and scrapes. Honolulu Fire Department says from noon Monday into Tuesday morning, it responded to 14 downed trees and 6 downed power lines and 4 blown roofs. The National Weather Service says this shows how vulnerable the island's infrastructure can be.
If a strong event like this can cause infrastructure problems, absolutely a hurricane would definitely exacerbate that significantly.
Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
And now joining us live via Zoom is Maui County spokeswoman Mahina Martin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Mahina, we know that it is a very busy night for you with the emergencies that you're handling right now. With that, could you give us an update on what those emergencies are at this hour?
Yes, absolutely. It's quite a situation we have here on Maui Island. Our emergency crews are responding to multiple fires across Maui. In particular, we've experiencing fires up in the upcountry area in Olinda and Kula. We have also been battling with our fire crews on the West Maui area. These are fires popping up in different locations. We have opened multiple emergency shelters throughout the island to assist our residents. At this time, both fire areas are active. Our crews, it's all hands on deck. We're here in full activation mode at the Emergency Operating Center here in Wailuku tonight.
Ms. Martin, we're trying to get a sense of the scope of this crisis. We're hearing from people on social media that they're going to pull off on the side of the highway. They don't know where they're going to stay tonight. Even though shelters are open, communication has not been great. It appears a cell phone tower may have been damaged in Lahaina. Can you give me a sense of the mood there on the island? I would imagine we're having quite a few people feeling just that they're on their own this evening.
Well, we can certainly appreciate there is a feeling of anxiety. Our focus has been on the safety of the public and the safety of our first responders. While we know that we have emergency shelters in place for those areas, we also know that there are residents and visitors as well who are trying to deal with conditions that are ever changing. Even our road closures are occurring at a fast pace as our firefighters deal with fires moving unpredictably with high winds conditioned and different sources of fuel in the different parts of the island. For our residents, it's important that they evacuate if our emergency personnel advise them to evacuate, to stay safe. We recently have been experiencing currently in the West Maui area a lack of communication. The landlines were down, cell phone towers are down. So residents, of course, are very concerned with not just each other, but conditions of where they go and how do they get information. We are very fortunate that we have been able to stay very active on this fire and try to send out information. But for the lack of communication on the west side, that remains a problem for us. We know that the exit to Lahaina has been outbound only recently. Down power lines prevented exit and entry into the West Maui area for a few hours this evening as well. And that compounded all of the situations we're dealing with.
And we're looking at video of massive flames just engulfing this historic section of Front Street, destroying the businesses there. What can you tell us about the situation there, as well as whether or not people are still in the water waiting to be rescued by the Coast Guard?
We did receive reports that there were residents who had entered the ocean on the West Maui area in response to conditions of smoke and fire. The Coast Guard did respond appropriately and quickly, took them to safe areas. with regards to the fire there in French Street and any parts of West Maui. It is fast moving, it's ever changing. Traffic is certainly compounding it. If people are not in the impacted areas, please stay off the road so that those who need to evacuate are able to evacuate.
And Ms. Martin, last question before we let you go. What is the county's most reliable communication method tonight?
We are deploying as much as we can. The mauicounty.gov is the site. Our social media platforms on both Facebook and Instagram will contain information. We also advise folks to get on mauicounty.gov and sign up for the Maui Emergency Management alerts. From that, you will also get area-specific alerts, including evacuation orders.
And Ms. Martin, actually, one more question. Is it true that members of the Hawaii Army National Guard have been activated to respond to the situation there?
We have requested assistance from state, federal, in conjunction with all county agencies. We have deployed as much assistance as we can from the state, including state DOFA crews, state airport fire crews. We have requested assistance from National Guard. As you know, Coast Guard responded recently. We are awaiting completion of the process to our request that we put in for the National Guard.
All right, thank you so much. Our hearts go out to all the first responders on a very difficult night. And you heard it from Lahaina Martin there. You sign up on the county's website for alerts. And also, of course, hawaiinewsnow.com. We're digging for the latest information around the clock, and we will bring it to you as soon as we get information confirmed.
And we are continuing to track the conditions out there as well. The gusty winds have weakened a little, but not even close enough to normal net levels.
Well, because of that hurricane to our south and that high-pressure fan to the north, our chief meteorologist Jennifer Robbins is here now with our first alert forecast. Jen?
It's incredibly heartbreaking to see all of those images as we take a closer look at what's happening. Here are the components for you. We have that high pressure fan you're talking about. That's the driving force behind our trade wind, and then a big temperature or a gradient difference or a pressure difference between that area of high pressure and also what we're seeing with Dora, a hurricane, a category 4 that's passing south of the islands. Even though it's more than 500 miles to the south, we're seeing that tight pressure gradient, and that's why we're having these winds funnel right on top of us. And as we take a closer look at the radar here, here's our first alert radar. These are actually not returns when it comes to rain. This is all the smoke and the fires that are happening right now on Maui. And you see the West Maui Mountains all the way to Lahaina and socked in with all of the fires and smoke there. So a very serious situation as we take a closer look. They've been facing gusts there easily up to 40 to 45 miles per hour. Earlier today, up to 50 miles per hour. And we know the behavior of the winds around the mountains there. It is a little bit more unpredictable. So a first alert weather day continues into the nighttime hours through the morning hours. We have a number of alerts up, including a high wind warning that's up. Also a small craft advisory for all of the islands, a gale warning on top of that. And there's the red flag warning we've been talking about for the last several days. With the powerful winds, fire danger, and power outages, that first alert weather day has been in the works the last couple of days, and we have been lighting up those days in red. And taking a closer look at the wind speeds, now these numbers are coming down. We are going to see some gusty conditions into the night, but at least things are going to be relaxing quite a bit when it comes to the wind speeds by tomorrow afternoon. So that's one good silver lining in all of this, but still dealing with this for tonight. East-northeast winds at 15 to 30, gusts to 50, low relative humidity, dry fuels. We'll keep a very close eye on all of these elements and have your first alert forecast continue coming up soon.